U.S. policy in Yemen can only be described as catastrophic because the U.S. has essentially seen Yemen through one sort of lens, and the lens is that of al-Qaeda and of terrorism. So al-Qaeda has a presence in Yemen, but was really boosted in its capabilities and its abilities by the fact that the Saudis were able to defeat the local Qaeda branch in Saudi Arabia in 2006. The remnants of al-Qaeda in Saudi Arabia ended up going to Yemen and forming something called al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula. So this is a group that exists in parts of Yemen, the more remote areas where the state is not powerful. Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula was able to build alliances with various tribes through marriages and personal connections in these more remote areas of Yemen. And the US has been obsessed with destroying this group. By the way, this group, Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula, hates the Houthis, and the Houthis are really the only group in Yemen, the only other force that can ultimately destroy and defeat Al-Qaeda militarily. But the US has decided to use drones against this group. And the drone attacks, as many of you know, has killed a number of leaders in al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula, but these drones have also killed a lot of Yemenis, a lot of innocent Yemenis, the kind of usual thing that we hear about, wedding parties, convoys that are mistaken. There's one very interesting case, and this tells you something about the nature of Ali Abdullah Saleh, the thug president who ruled from 1978 till 2012. Ali Abdullah Saleh once wanted one of his enemies gotten rid of. So he gave the coordinates of a convoy of his enemies to the US, and the US blew up the convoy with a drone attack. And he had nothing to do with al-Qaeda. So this is the kind of thing that happens and has happened in Yemen. And the US has, in fact, through the use of drones, created a much bigger problem for itself because al-Qaeda is stronger today than it ever has been. And President Obama has used drones even more than President Bush before him. Also, the US policy has been to build up the military capacity of certain units in the Yemeni army, especially those units that were led by Ahmad Ali Abdullah Saleh, the son of the president who was supposed to take over after him in the Republican Guard. And these units actually that were trained and armed by the United States who were supposed to fight al-Qaeda ended up fighting the enemies of Ali Abdullah Saleh. And now, most recently, because there's been an alliance of convenience between the Houthis and Ali Abdullah Saleh and his son, many of the weaponry and the troops that were ostensibly there to fight al-Qaeda are in fact fighting the other factions that are pro-Saudi in Yemen. So it's a real mess. It's a complete mess. And the US has wasted a tremendous amount of goodwill, abused its power through the killing of lots of civilians, and has increased the presence of al-Qaeda in Yemen.